I just want to say before I start my political video, my new heater came in. It looks like it's a ceramic heater. See if you can see the lighting on that. So it's a ceramic heater. It's got one of those things where if it tips over, um, it has like this thing where it turns itself off if it tips over, or if it overheats, it turns itself off. So that's kind of cool for that to start with. Hold on a second. You can see that better right there. But yeah. But yep. So that's a start thing. And I can't hook it up right now because, for one, I gotta clean out the room first. I got a whole bunch of shit to go through that I don't need anymore. But that's for another time. Um, but I want to get to my political video here. It says in his frenzied crusade to help Pumpkin Tits overturn the 2020 election lawsuit, Rudy Colludi has displayed many of the characteristics that Pumpkin Tits has long demanded in his personal lawyers, albeit with a more surreal and comedic elements. Colludi has shown unswerving loyalty, gleefully obfuscated facts, launched wild attacks in the media, and he's hosted circus-style press conferences and gone to court, all in the fruitless, evidence-free quest to persuade several states to block Joe Biden's electoral victories. But that might not be Colludi's only or ultimate goal. The former New York mayor might just be trying to save himself, according to the Department of Justice veterans and legal experts I spoke with. Colludi seems to be facing growing legal threats, and he may be angling for a pardon. They told this person in interviews over the past few weeks. According to a news report in the New York Times, Colludi has had more than one discussion with Pumpkin Tits about getting a pardon, but whether Pumpkin Tits has agreed is unclear. Colludi's personal lawyer denied basically last week that his client wants to secure a pardon from Pumpkin Tits, saying Colludi hadn't done anything wrong. Of course he has. On Twitter today, Colludi himself denied the Times story. Colludi faces potential criminal exposure stemming from his lengthy campaign to dig up dirt on the Biden family in Ukraine, and Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, the two Soviet-born men who worked closely with Colludi in a widely debunked drive to link Biden and his son Hunter to corruption in that country, and they had been charged with making illegal campaign contributions. The pair were slated to go to trial in March, but that's since been postponed to a later time in 2021. Both Parnas and Fruman pled not guilty. The FBI is also reportedly investigating Colludi's Ukraine efforts, including his possible ties to Russian intelligence. A key Colludi contact in the Ukraine for the anti-Biden materials was Andrei Derkach, a lawmaker whom the Treasury Department sanctioned in September as an active Russian agent attempting to interfere in November's election. Colludi's zealous, bumbling efforts to help Pumpkin Tits make sense if he's spooked and wishes to save his own skin after the Biden administration takes office in January. I would expect the DOJ and the Southern District of New York to sharpen their focus on financial crime, corruption, and money laundering. Paul Pelletier, who served as the acting chief of the DOJ's fraud division under Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama, said. But his foreign entanglements and business relationships with charged fraudsters, Colludi's contact would surely invite specialized scrutiny, and the greater the threat of prosecution, the more a presidential pardon would be welcome. Other ex-prosecutors that people spoke with occurred. It would make sense for Colludi to look to his boss for a pardon that could immunize him from possible federal indictment on campaign finance, obstruction of justice, federal law, and other related charges. Philip Halpern, a recently retired federal prosecutor who spent 36 years focused on corruption and campaign finance cases, had said. Prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, the office Colludi once ran, which is known for its independence and handles many of the Justice Department's highest profile prosecutions, have reportedly been scrutinizing Colludi's links to Parnas and Fruman since last fall. Investigators have examined Colludi's financial dealings at the pair in part to discern whether Colludi's Ukraine work violated lobby laws that require foreign agents to register with the United States government, according to the Times. Prosecutors have charged Parnas and Fruman with scheming with foreign donors to funnel hundreds of thousands of dollars in illegal donations to one U.S. government official and political action committees, including a pro 45 PAC. With their trial coming up, Parnas and Fruman are likely to face mounting pressure to cooperate with prosecutors in an attempt to cut the potential punishment. The ex-DOJ lawyers had said in September Parnas and Fruman were charged in a superseding indictment with additional campaign finance crimes. The SDNY prosecutors also added wire fraud violations to their raft of charges against Parnas, a Florida-based firm called Fraud Guarantee, which was run in part by Parnas, in which prosecutors complaint charges was as a scam and is alleged to have bilked investors out of more than $2 million. The degree of Fruman's involvement in the Fraud Guarantee is unclear. Parnas and another partner, David Correa, had used the funds that they raised for personal expenses, including hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for Parnas' personal residence and the political donations, according to SDNY press release. Correa pleaded guilty to 2 of the 5 charges against him. Colludi has a direct link to Fraud Guarantee, which, according to its website, pitched potential clients on its ability to help them reduce and mitigate fraud. According to Colludi, Fraud Guarantee hired him in part to offer legal counsel on regulatory matters. Additionally, a consulting firm Colludi runs was paid $500,000 by a Long Island lawyer as part of an alleged agreement to invest in Fraud Guarantee. The Justice Department veterans say that the risks for Colludi have grown with the added charges against Parnas and Fruman, as either one could feel additional pressure to cut a deal, and more charges generally mean more incentive to cooperate. Joshua Geltzer, a senior lawyer in the Justice Department's National Security under Obama, said, and more charges that relate to Colludi in particular may well mean more incentive to cooperate about his actions. Other warning signs of potential legal trouble for Colludi involve his dealings with Derkach, the Ukrainian lawmaker and alleged Russian agent. Colludi met with Derkach at least more than once. In an October story, the Washington Post revealed that the White House was warned in 2019 that Colludi was the target of an influence operation by Russian intelligence. It identified 2 meetings between the men, one in Kyiv in December of 2019 and again in New York 2 months later when the lawyer hosted Derkach on his podcast. At the Kyiv meeting, they filmed a segment together for the ultra-conservative One American News Network, which is a fake news site anyway, in which they promoted widely discredited allegations about Biden. Colludi has touted Derkach's unverified claims about the Biden as very helpful, and an apparent belated attempt to downplay his earlier praise for Derkach. Colludi told the Post he was never informed that Derkach was a Russian intelligence agent, and that the Ukrainian lawmaker had only secondary information, and Colludi did not consider him to be a witness. The legal threats may well have been on Colludi's mind, as he has worked feverishly and clumsily to help Pumpkin Tits challenges to the election barely alive after the multiple courts rejected them. Colludi's doing everything he can not just to help Pumpkin Tits undermine Biden's election, but in an anticipation that POTUS will save Colludi from other investigation and legal trouble with a possible pardon. This is what a former senior intelligence official in the Pumpkin Tits administration, who, like another source, who talked on the condition of anonymity in order to speak candidly, and no one has been more loyal to Pumpkin Tits than Colludi, so he's probably at the top of the pardon list. A veteran GOP operative in Washington added. Robert Costello, Colludi's attorney and a former top prosecutor at SDNY, scoffed at the idea of Pumpkin Tits issuing his client a pardon. He hasn't done anything to merit a pardon. Costello said last week, you have done something wrong. You have to have done something wrong to need a pardon. Well, Colludi has done something wrong, lying. But Costello said that neither he nor Colludi had been contacted by SDNY investigators about his dealings with Parnas and Fruman, or even heard from the FBI about his work in Ukraine and possible ties to Russian intelligence there. But Costello added that there were no concerns about the upcoming trial of Parnas and Fruman. Still, Pumpkin Tits is said to be enthusiastic about using his sweeping pardon powers, and expectations have grown that some allies he portrays as victims of politically driven deep state prosecutions and probes will receive pardons, and before Thanksgiving, he pardoned one such victim, his ex-National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who had twice pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with the Russian ambassador prior to Pumpkin Tits' inauguration. He later attempted to withdraw his guilty plea, and other potential pardon targets include Pumpkin Tits' longtime confidant, his ball washer, Roger Inbred Stone, and the former Pumpkin Tits campaign chairman Paul Manafort, both of whom were charged and convicted as part of the Russia investigation, and the squatter has already commuted the inbred stone sentence. The squatter also has the power to preemptively pardon individuals, which is what he'd do for colluding. The squatter's pardon power is extremely broad. Donald Ayer, who's a former deputy attorney general in the George H.W. Bush administration, had said he can pardon anyone and he can pardon them for crimes that have not been charged. Look at what President Ford did in the case of Richard Nixon. The White House did not respond to multiple requests at that time for comment. However, Colludy's prospects could be undercut, ironically, by his erratic drive to overturn the election results. Pumpkin Tits and a number of his advisors were reportedly irked by Colludy's Inspector Clouseau lack performance and the far-reaching voter fraud conspiracies he had, and the lawyer Sidney Powell even more so pushed during a November 19th press conference at the Republican National Committee headquarters. Powell was ultimately ousted days after that event. But what's more, the image-obsessed Pumpkin Tits had something new to fret over when Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and other commentators had a field day ribbing Colludi for his personal appearance at the press conference, where he sort of profusely with what seemed to be black hair dye for running down his ugly face. Colludi's assignment is to speak in public and muck things up, and to egg on the conspiracy hunters and members of the cult of Pumpkin Tits. Stephen Gillers, an NYU law professor who says he went to law school with Colludi, has said his job is to influence, or more accurately, to distort public opinion. But in Pumpkin Tits' eyes, Colludi's indefatigable efforts against all odds and facts to undermine Biden's clear victory may count more than any lousy reviews his lawyer has ever received. Which may explain why, the day after Pennsylvania's finally certified Biden's win, that Pumpkin Tits phoned in to join a hearing on election fraud allegations that the GOP lawmakers and Colludi hosted in Gettysburg Hotel ballroom. During the call, the notwithstanding one district judge who days before rebuked Colludi for a court filing he likened to Frankenstein's monster, Pumpkin Tits effusively praised his top lawyer for spearheading the challenges to the election results in Pennsylvania, and this is going to be your crowning achievement because you're saving our country. Pumpkin Tits said it's just a kind of reassurance that Colludi may be banking on. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Ryan Van Wyck, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.